Good morning, it is March 29 and I'm pretty excited. This is a dream. I am on the Arizona Trail. It has always been a dream of mine to be able to hike this trail, but my mom does not want to do it, so I am stuck. But at least I get to do a little section today. It's the Vineyard Trail. The lady that was a volunteer yesterday, she recommended this trail. She said she loves it, so it's gonna be kind of a long one. I'll see how far I get. Anyway, it's gorgeous already, right by Roosevelt Lake. And yeah, I am so happy to be able to do this. I'm starting at 8 in the morning, and it's a good thing I was in New Mexico for a week or so, because that got me acclimatized to the change in time. So I'm able to get up and get going sooner because I'm used to New Mexico time. Whoa. Okay, it's really rocky. You really have to watch your steps. Would be fun to meet people that are doing the Arizona Trail. Aw. Well, speaking of New Mexico, I was in one of their state parks that didn't have any hiking trails, so I didn't really show it to you. And it was so fiercely windy, so I decided to get my bike out and went for a little bike ride around the park. And when I got back, I noticed these things that were sticking to the tires. So I dutifully took them off of the tires, knowing that I didn't want to spread it to other places of the planet. I could tell that they were noxious seed heads. And when I did, the tires started losing air. And the next thing I know, both of my tires went flat. Oh, so upsetting. And I still haven't got them fixed, and I'm really missing my bike. Anyway, that's my sad story. They're called goat heads, I found out. And they're not native to this country. But man, they sure have wreaked havoc. Anyways, I need to go get my bike fixed sometime soon. And I'll only be riding my bicycle on paved pathways from now on, or very well maintained dirt roads. I have learned an expensive lesson. This is a fun trail. Aw, I just love the scenery and the birds, so many birds. Have you ever wondered what God was talking with Moses up on the mountain when he was there for 40 days and 40 nights for 2 episodes? God wasn't just talking about the 10 Commandments the whole time he was up on the mountain. The command was given, "Let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them." And full directions were given for the construction of the tabernacle. Chosen men were especially endowed by God with skill and wisdom for the construction of the sacred building. God gave Moses the plan of the structure, with particular directions on its size and form, the materials that were to be used, and the furniture that it was to contain. It was actually a miniature representation of the heavenly temple. And God showed Moses on the mountain a view of the heavenly sanctuary and told him to make all things according to the pattern that had been shown him. How thrilling it must have been for Moses to get a view of heaven. I don't know if you can get a sense of how steep this is, but it is really steep. And I met my first through hiker. He said that was the plan anyway. He looked pretty haggard. Oh, different view now. Building the sanctuary was going to cost a lot, yet the Lord only accepted free will offerings. But you know what? The people responded. Both men and women brought what they had and gave from their heart, until finally the Lord had to say, okay, that's enough. We don't need any more. Otherwise it would get in the way of the construction of the temple. They brought everything from precious stones to jewelry, fine linen, wood, oil, and spices. You see, devotion to God and a spirit of sacrifice were the requisites in preparing a dwelling place for the Most High, and the people were all in. The tabernacle was constructed so that it could be taken apart and carried with the Israelites in all their journeyings. So it was pretty small, about 55 feet in length and 18 feet wide and tall. Yet it was a magnificent structure. Its wood was made of the acacia tree, which was less subject to decay than other trees around Sinai. Everything solid was overlaid in gold, and the roof was formed of 4 sets of curtains made with linens, goat's hair, ram's skins, and seal skins. The building was divided into 2 apartments by a rich and beautiful curtain or veil made with gorgeous colors, blue, purple, scarlet, and inwrought with threads of gold and silver were patterns of cherubim. Oh, that's a good view of the dam from here. This sacred tent was enclosed in an open space called the court, which was surrounded by a screen of fine linens suspended from pillars of brass. The entrance to this enclosure was at the eastern end. In the court and close to the entrance was a brazen altar of burnt offering. Upon this altar were consumed all the sacrifices made by fire unto the Lord, and its horns were sprinkled with the atoning blood. Oh, I finally get a reprieve from the climbing. This is gorgeous up here too. Oh, this is just so special up here. It's like a mountaintop meadow. Oh my. Like an alpine situation, only it's the desert. Between the altar and the door of the tabernacle was the laver, also made of brass and made of mirrors. That was the freewill offering of the women of Israel. This is seriously why one hikes, to get in these remote places. Oh, it's just gorgeous. It's interesting, there's not many swallows on this side, but then there's a whole side of them over there. Oh, there's the road to Apache Lake. I wonder if that's Apache Lake already. Very cool. I'm gonna go on it sometime. That's my plan. Because there is a campground at Apache Lake as well, I know that. Oh, I get to hike amongst my saguaros now. For a little bit anyways, it looks like. I just love these guys. At the laver, the priests were to wash their hands and feet before they went into the sanctuary or approached the altar to offer burnt offerings to the Lord. After that, in the first apartment of the sanctuary called the Holy Place, were the table of showbread, the candlesticks or the lampstands, and the altar of incense. The table of showbread stood on the north side, and it had an ornamental crown that was overlaid with pure gold. On this table, the priests were each Sabbath to place 12 cakes arranged in 2 piles and sprinkled with frankincense. Being accounted holy, the loaves were then removed and eaten by the priests. Now, have I told you how much I am absolutely enjoying this trail? Oh, it is just crazy cool. It makes me want to do the Arizona Trail even more and more and more. Mother, are you watching? On the south side was the 7-branched candlestick, and its branches were ornamented with exquisitely wrought flowers resembling lilies, and this all was made from one solid piece of gold. There was no windows in the tabernacle, so the lamps were never extinguished at one time. They shed their light by day and by night. After this was the altar of incense, which was just before the veil to the most holy place. Upon this altar the priests were to burn incense every morning and evening, and its horns were touched with the blood of the sin offering, and it was sprinkled with blood on the great day of atonement. Oh, my first sighting of poppies today on this trail. Oh, look at this gorgeous patch. Wowzers. I have absolutely not seen these kind of flowers before. Oh, this is great. The fire upon this altar was kindled by God Himself and was sacredly cherished. Day and night, the holy incense diffused its fragrance throughout the sacred apartments, and even outside, far around the tabernacle. Oh my, got some interesting terrain here. Big rock slide. I better keep my eyes down. You guys can look up. Another one. Beyond the inner veil was the Holy of Holies, and in this apartment was the Ark, a chest of acacia wood that was overlaid within and out of pure gold. It housed the tables of stone that Moses brought down the mountain from God, from which God Himself inscribed the 10 Commandments. Hence, it was called the Ark of God's Testament, or the Ark of His Covenant, since the 10 Commandments were the basis of the covenant made between God and Israel. I mean, just look at this massive purple. Oh, God is so amazing. The cover of this sacred chest was called the mercy seat, and it was one solid piece of gold. And it was surmounted by golden cherubim, one on each end. One wing was stretched out, while the other was folded over the body in token of reverence and humility. Another new flower for me, I think. The position of the cherubim, with their face toward each other and looking reverently downward toward the ark, represented the reverence with which the heavenly hosts regard the law of God and their interest in the plan of redemption. Okay, this is where the All Trails has my trail ending, but it looks like it goes that way too. Anyways, I better go back, see what's up here. It took me about almost 3.5 hours to get here. And I mean, I could go all the way to Utah. I am so tempted. So that's what the Arizona sign looks like. Arizona Trail. I must say that the Florida Trail was a bit more skookum than that one. Anyway, how gorgeous. I could do this trail by myself, but the whole point of it is to be able to do the Bible talks. And without my mom as my trail angel, I cannot do these talks. But, oh, whoa, what a dream this would be to do this trail, especially in the spring. I am just incredibly in love with this area, this whole state in the spring. Oh, and it was 4.3 miles to get to that sign. So that's a nice day, very nice length. I know I've said this before, but it'll be a different perspective on the way back. Either direction is fabulous. Now, come to think of it, I wonder why they named it the Vineyard Trail. I did not see any vineyards. Sweet name, but Hey all you AZT Thru hikers, here's a water source. Can you imagine? That's another good reason to hike in the spring. Okay, I have a couple stories to tell you. The first one is I just met a Thru hiker and his name is Marilyn Monroe. His trail name. Catch it, his trail name. Anyway, he seemed like a really nice guy, really friendly. And then I met, I don't know if it's a father-son duo, but I had met them coming this way. They were struggling with their packs and stuff. They were stopped. And they said that just after I passed them, a big rattler went across the trail in front of them and gave a little rattle. He said it was the biggest one he's ever seen, like so thick. So now, they obviously are active today. So now I need to pay extra careful attention. Then, above the mercy seat was the Shekinah, the manifestation of the divine presence, and it was between the cherubim that God made known his will. No language can describe the glory of the scene presented within the sanctuary, the gold-plated walls reflecting the light from the golden candlestick, the brilliant hues of the richly embroidered curtains with their shining angels, the table and the altar of incense glittering with gold. Beyond the second veil, the sacred ark with its mystic cherubim, and above it the holy Shekinah, the visible manifestation of Jehovah's presence, all but a dim reflection of the glories of the temple of God in heaven, the great center of the work for man's redemption. I have a little something to tell you. I wasn't going to tell you this story, but I guess I want to. When I was in New Mexico, I debated majorly which direction to go, whether east or west. I was torn. Either direction would have been great. There was pros and cons to each. I could not make up my mind. The day of departure, I was phoning my mother and saying, which direction should I go? So she suggested, and I had already thought about it, to flip a coin. So heads, I was going east, tails, I was going west. So she flipped it and she only got tails. So that meant I was going west. And just before I left, I decided to do it as well. So I flipped the coin twice and I got tails both times. So it was meant that I come west. And today is the reason that I came west. I cannot tell you how much I have enjoyed this trail. Absolutely spectacular. The healing hiker rating is a 5 out of 5. It probably is like a 20 out of 5 if there is such a thing. Oh, anyway, God is so good. I am so blessed to have done this trail. And I can say that I was on the Arizona Trail for 4 miles at least, but still I was on it. That is a highlight. If it's this spectacular for 4 miles, what is the whole trail like? Oh, one day to find out would be amazing. Oh, there's the bridge already. Definitely way faster going back. Unless I'm just having too much fun and oblivious to the time. That's probably what it is. Oh, look at these beautiful flowers. I gotta learn my desert flowers. Can you hear the dam? It's pretty loud. So I met 5 male thru hikers and 1 female thru hiker and a group of 3-day hikers like me. And you know what else I like about Arizona? There is no bugs, except maybe the occasional bee. And I'm happy to report that there was no snake sighting today. And you know what's even more incredible? Jesus wants us to be his sanctuary.